As I mentioned in the previous video, I do a lot of science communication. So when I see like a paper, or I see a deep dive discussion on a specific AI topic, I always think about how do I make that very technical content more consumable or more accessible to more people, especially developers and other researchers that are trying to get into the space. That's something I think about, and I work a lot and put a lot of effort into that. In fact, my whole company is doing a lot of work around that to make things more accessible, specifically research and different developments that are happening in the field. As an example, for instance, I really like this prompt engineering deep dive by Anthropic, and I watched the whole video. So it's like a 1 hour plus video where they go through a lot of prompt engineering tips. And these are researchers, product folks, and also customer facing people as well that were discussing this. And they had a lot of really interesting insights into how to better prompt these models. And the talk was titled Prompt Engineering. And so what I was thinking was, how do I use language models to make that kind of content more accessible? I must say that the content is pretty technical, and I don't think it's consumable by a lot of people. I think it's mostly going to be folks that already have some insight into how to using LLMs, and maybe researchers or hardcore developers. So the idea here is, how do I use something like that discussion, and create a more consumable or accessible version of that? And what format am I going to use for that as well? How do I use LLMs for this? So what I did was I actually took the discussion. The discussion I'm talking about is this YouTube video. I'm going to link it below this video. It's an excellent talk about prompt engineering and how Anthropic is using prompt engineering techniques for building a variety of powerful use cases with language models. What I want to show you is, how do I use NotebookLM to create something like this? So the way I did this was a couple of weeks ago, before I even knew about NotebookLM. I actually did this manually. I created a little project, like this is a web project, where I feed it a YouTube link, and that application downloads the YouTube video, then uses Gemini 1.5 Pro to transcribe the video. And from the transcription, now I can convert it into something like this. So basically summarizing the prompting techniques. But to do this in this format, I actually use Claude, because Claude does tend to perform better for things that are related to creative writing. So notice that I'm using a combination of models. I'm using Gemini 1.5 Pro for the transcription part. I'm using Claude to do the generation of the prompting tips from the transcription. And so this is how I came about this particular list. And people really liked it. You can see here that this tweet had 385,000 views, 5.6K bookmarks, 2.7K likes, and 383. So very viral content. And it's one of my most viral contents in the past couple of weeks. This was all possible through these LLMs. Fast forward 2 weeks or 3 weeks from when I posted this tweet, we have NotebookLM exploding in popularity and super viral. And basically, they introduced a new feature recently where you can upload a YouTube link. So it reminded me exactly of that whole process that I built an application around, and they have basically replicated that feature essentially. And I could not be more excited, because it makes things so much easier for me. Now I can just use that model, and I can use NotebookLM to generate everything that I want to generate in whatever format that I want to generate. So that's what I'm going to show in this section. So I'm inside NotebookLM. I'm going to start a new notebook. And then down here, you see that there is a YouTube feature here. So I can provide a YouTube link. So I'm going to paste the link of the YouTube video that I showed previously. So here is the YouTube link. Some notes here: only the text transcript will be imported at this moment. So this is just a text transcript. There's no access to the actual clips or video or anything like that. Only public YouTube videos are supported, so it has to be in public. Recently uploaded videos may not be available to import. That's something that I saw a lot of folks struggling with. Just be aware of that not every, especially the new videos, is going to be available here. If the upload fails, just check out the Learn More for learning about the common reasons why this might fail. So I'm going to insert the YouTube video here, and now it's uploading. Okay, so now I can click here, and what I get is basically the transcription of this YouTube video. You can see all the transcription here. This was a conversation. So I had a lot of questions about this. How do I convert this into something that's more accessible for a broader audience? Because I felt like it was super technical, and they really went deep. That's what I love about the discussion. I'm going to show you the process on how to generate that content that I showed you for that viral tweet. And it's super simple. Like, you don't have to do all the stuff that I did, where I had to create an application to do the transcription, and then to do the actual content generation and so on and use different models. I can just use one system for that. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to show you how I can generate something that's very similar to that tweet. I'm going to say generate the top 20. In fact, I would say, to be more specific, prompt engineering, because they might be talking about a bunch of different things in the discussion, which they do. So I want this to be very specific. I'm going to hit enter again. I should get a response this time. I believe this error was due to my internet connection, but it should have no problem generating the response now. All right, so here we go. So we get it. And now you can see that it did a great job because it generated 20 items, which is the first thing I want. And then it actually used the format that I specified. So I specified heading and explanation format. All right, so that's looking good. And use 2 sentences max. So I have to check specifically if it went over 2 sentences. It looks like most of them are okay from what I can see. Yeah, most of them are like 1 sentence. Maybe some have 2 sentences, but that looks great. I like this format already. And what could have been improved here is the formatting of the actual content. Like maybe this could have been a list and maybe it could have used like Markdown to make it easy to read. But that's not a problem because this is the first iteration. Again, I could save this as a note, and you can see here now it's stored as a note, right? And then I can go back to my notebook guide and can go back to view chat, and I have it here. So what I can do here now is I can also look at my citations. So let's look at one of these. Let's see if there's an interesting one. So it says, don't over rely on role prompting. I thought that was a really important insight in this discussion. And it says, while assigning personas can be helpful, it shouldn't replace clear task descriptions and context. That's a very important suggestion and recommendation they made in the discussion. So what we can do here now, we can drill down in the transcript of the YouTube video to learn more about what they were exactly talking about. So I'm going to click on that and click to 14, and you will see that this line in particular is talking about that. It says, you're in this product, so tell me if you are writing an assistant that is in a product, tell me I am in the product. Tell me I'm writing on behalf of this company. I'm embedded in this product. I am the support chat window of that product. You're a language model. You're not a human. That's fine. But just being really prescriptive about the exact context, about where something is being used, I found a lot of that because I guess my concern most often with role prompting is people use it as a shortcut of a similar task they wanted the model to do. So just be more clear and provide better descriptions for the task and provide a better context usually will give you better results as opposed to just relying on this idea of role prompting. That was what the recommendation was about, and I fully agree with this because this has been the case for the experiments and use cases that we have worked on as well. That's really neat, and you can go on and continue looking at the different citations and get the different contexts from the transcript to learn more about what they were discussing. And this is how you learn really fast about certain things. And you can iterate on this. You can follow up with something. You can, for instance, say, how does the role of prompt engineering change with the evolution of language models? And you can really have a lot of fun and learn a lot from just interacting here in NotebookLM with your sources. And YouTube videos as sources is really powerful because there's so much really good educational content on YouTube. So I'm going to call this notebook YouTube Prompt Engineering Tips.